What is up, YouTube? It is RSmario here, aka the realest man in the room, bringing you another anime review. Alright, so this one, I have been trying to get this video out for a while, but scheduling issues, all the Pokemon stuff came up, and this video just kept getting pushed back to the back burner. I finally can finish this and some of my other anime videos I've been planning to do. Sorry it is late, but here we are with my review for Legend of Arslan Season 1.5. Alright, so Legend of Arslan Dust Storm Dance. Basically, I'm not quite sure where this falls within the storyline of Arslan, because of course Arslan is based off of a bunch of light novels that was turned into an anime, that was turned into a manga, that was turned into another anime. So I don't quite know where this fits in, but I do think it is canon. I hope so. But yeah, this is the 8th episode. That's why I call it 1.5 season of Legend of Arslan. That kind of gives us events between season 1 and hopefully a full-blown season 2 that we'll get later. So the story here centers around Arslan trying to go off and trying to build up an army to basically take back the capital. Now, a lot of things happen in the beginning of the show. I can't really go into them because it's super spoilery, but they're big parts of the summary of this show as to why he's building the army and what's going on, and the crescendo that happens in the end. But for the most part, this is Arslan doing what he was doing in season 1, but this time he has to build up forces and he has to build up, money and things like that for a campaign. And it really feels like a video game, like a kind of a strategy game almost, because he has to do things for people so he can have money to support the army that he's gonna have to build. And it's actually pretty interesting, again, interesting. But of course, like any anime, there are pros and cons. And one pretty huge con that I'm going to get into later in the video. We're going to start off with the pros. One big pro for this is they do, well, it's kind of a pro and a con, but it's mainly a pro. The arc style pacing of Arslan Senki is still here. So if you didn't see my original review for Legend of Arslan, one of the big things I liked about that show was the fact that it had this arc style pacing. So basically where the pacing would be like, okay, we're going to start off with this event here, and there's going to be like a 3 to 4 episode arc with that, and then we're going to move on to something else. And it's kind of like little mini story arcs inside of a bigger story arc that all add up to one thing in the end. And they kind of keep that going here. I mean, the first story arc is a little pointless because it involves a plot device that really is just made to get Arslan from point A to point B so they can really start building the story. But the pacing is still the way I like it, which is cool. So another pro about this show is it does flesh out the backstories of a lot of characters. Specifically, Hermes. His backstory gets fleshed out in this show, and it almost kind of humanizes him in a way to where, you might want to root for Hermes. Me, I wouldn't want to root for Hermes because Hermes is still a dick. I mean, even though bad things happened to him that made him a dick, he's still a dick, and I don't want to root for Hermes. But some people might be inclined to root for Hermes in this whole struggle for Ekbatana. There is less CG in this show. Alright, so because of where they are, they're dealing with a lot smaller armies. It's not like massive armies in this show. I mean, there is some of the old Arslan huge military battles from the first season in this show, but for the most part, everything is kind of scaled down because it's really taking place in one city with, a couple different factions. And then, of course, we get to the bad news. Alright, so the cons for The Legend of Arslan Season 1.5 is that it's only 8 episodes long. It's only 8 episodes. Now, from what I heard, this was because Arslan was taking a time slot from another anime that was, I guess, on like a mid-season break or something. I thought only America did weird stuff like, oh, let's take a break in the middle of the show. But I think that's what was going on with the time slot that Arslan was in Japan. So that's why they only had like 2 months or 8 episodes to work with. But this definitely did kind of build up for what we hope is a big season 2. Now I heard it could be a movie. I don't really want to see that because to me there's a lot more to be wrapped up than you can wrap up in one 2-hour movie. And if it will, it could be messy. But definitely 8 episodes is a con. I would have totally been okay with waiting a little while longer for them to do a full 20-some-odd episode season. Or even a 12 episode season if you have to. So the storyline for this show basically centers around a city by the name of Gilyan on the coast and involves merchants and basically Arslan trying to get money for his new army. So the storyline is not bad. I mean, it's pretty much what we would expect from Arslan. He's doing the things we would expect Arslan to do if you've seen Arslan Season 1. But it took too long for them to get to this point. I mean, they pretty much burned 2 or 3 episodes, which is the first story arc of this season, on a plot device that eventually brought him to this place in the first place. So it's kind of like you've got 8 episodes and you've burnt like 3. So, you know, but the storyline, once it does pick up and get going, we do see some of the classic Arslan traits like political intrigue, betrayal, military tactics, allies. We see these kind of things come into play, which is never a bad thing because it was some of the best things about the original Legend of Arslan. Alright, so the next con is the Rugenbod, or I'm probably saying that wrong, but the legendary item or the plot device in this show. I'm going to kind of spoil this for you just a little bit. The Rugenbod is a legendary sword in the show. It belonged to one of the ancient kings, and this is basically what they're looking for in the beginning of the show. If you saw Arslan Season 2, you saw you know what you call him in the end. He's off on a journey. His journey is to look for this sword. Of course, Heel Mace and his side is going to look for the sword too, and that's basically what the first plot, the first story arc is in the season. And it's good, I mean, but it's kind of pointless because you never hear about this thing ever again. Like, that's it. You hear about this thing once. One time. You know, well, not one time, but just in this portion of the show. And last but not least, the villain. Now, the main villain of this story is not exactly Heel Mace. Now, Heel Mace is doing things in the background. It says multiple storylines going on at this point. But I guess the main storyline, which is the Gilyan City story, the enemy is a different character by the name of Shagard. And he's kind of a predictable villain. Like, you can look at this dude and be like, yeah, he's evil. You can see him straight up that he's evil. And he is kind of predictable, but he does play into the backstory of a key character, which was pretty interesting. That was interesting, but the rest of him, predictable. So, man, so to sum this all up, the show is actually pretty good. It's more of what we like from the original Arslan, just not exactly enough of it. And it takes too long to really get started to be such a short show. So for this one, it pains me to do it, but I have to give the Heroic Legend of Arslan thus Storm Dance a C. So that's about it, people. I hope to get some more anime videos out. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, folks, keep it real.